So you think Connecticut is just quintessential New England. Just adorable. Not so fast. Because underneath that polite New England surface is a treasure chest of bizarre history, odd traditions, strange rituals, and sayings that only make sense if you were raised here or you've survived long enough to become one of us. Today, we're diving into the weirdest parts of Connecticut culture. The stuff that makes locals nod in agreement and newcomers ask, wait, what? Connecticut is old. Really old. And with age comes quirks. Historical quirks, linguistic quirks, and habits that don't show up until you're entrenched in daily life here. But once you've lived here long enough, these oddities start to feel normal. And then one day you look in the mirror and you think, oh no, I've become one of them. Let's get into the bizarreness of my home state of Connecticut. First, let's start with a little history. Connecticut's nickname is the Nutmeg State. And if you think that's because we grew them, no, absolutely not. We got the nickname because early Connecticut peddlers used to carve fake wooden nutmegs and sell them to unsuspecting buyers. That's right, our state nickname is based on a scam. But it does highlight our Yankee spirit and shows how Connecticut was known for resourcefulness and ingenuity. Only Connecticut could turn a colonial fraud operation into branding. Another funny thing about Connecticut history is that we hid a government document inside a tree. That's right. One of Connecticut's most legendary historical moments is the Charter Oak story. Back in 1687, when the British tried to revoke Connecticut's colony's charter, which basically gave it autonomy, the colonists were not having it. They literally hid the document inside a giant oak tree that was once located in Hartford. And they got away with it. Sadly, the tree that was estimated to be over 1,000 years old fell during a storm in 1856. But the story still remains. And you've heard about witch trials, right? People think Salem was the blueprint for witch hysteria. Connecticut says, hold on a minute. Our witch trials started decades earlier. Between 1647 and 1663, Connecticut executed several people for witchcraft. This was known as the Hartford Witch Trials. And then we just kind of shoved it under the rug for about 350 years and let Salem take the gruesome honors. So now let's jump forward to more current times. Connecticut has strange road rituals and sayings. Let's talk about Connecticut driving culture. There are sayings here that only make sense if you survive the traffic on certain roads. We lovingly call it the Merritt, not the Merritt Parkway. This is a beautiful park-like highway that runs through Connecticut. It's technically Route 15, but we call it the Merritt. And the northern parts are actually truly the Wilbur Cross Parkway, but again, we just call it the Merritt. Another one is 95 is backed up. This is not news, this is a daily affirmation. We don't say I-95, just 95, and everyone understands it. Or 95 is a parking lot is another good one. Do you take 95 or the Merritt is a great question. It's basically a compatibility test or a way to pick a fight with someone. Which way you drive home or to work says a lot about who you are in this state. Another one everyone knows, the Berlin Turnpike. Said with either nostalgia or trauma. There is no in between. Everyone knows it's just 12 miles of motels and strip malls. How about the Post Road? Even though it's really Route 1. It truly was called the Boston Post Road because it was the postal road to and from Boston many, many, many years ago. But we like Post Road and you just have to deal with it. And if you use these terms naturally, congratulations, you're a Connecticut resident now. Another ritual we have here is the Great Tag Sale. In other states, people have yard sales or garage sales. In Connecticut, we have tag sales, and we take them very seriously. Tag sale signs pop up like mushrooms after rain. You'll start to see signs on people's lawns or at the main intersection in town. Usually, they start about mid-spring and last until the fall. Typically, it's a big piece of poster board that someone hand wrote their address and times and dates of the tag sale. People will drive 30 minutes, even an hour, out of their way to inspect a lamp from 1974 that costs them $1.50 at the tag sale and has really no meaningful value today or even back then. But people dream. You never know what you'll find rummaging through someone's tag sale. It's almost like American Pickers. So let's talk some slang. This is things people may never have heard of before moving to Connecticut. Let's start with the packy, which is short for the package store, which really is just a liquor store. In Connecticut, we sell beer in grocery stores, but we don't sell wine or liquor. So if you want to get liquor, you have to go to the liquor store. But they don't just sell wine and liquor, they also sell beer. So go figure. Another good one is the term grinder. It really is just a sandwich. But in some states, it's known as a submarine sandwich or a hoagie, but you know the one I'm talking about. We also make some great Italian grinders here, like an eggplant parm or a chicken parm or a meatball grinder. They're all good. If you say you're going into the city this weekend, everyone knows what you mean. You don't mean Hartford, New Haven, Boston. You mean New York City. And just to reiterate, you mean specifically Manhattan, not the other 4 boroughs. Another good one is, I'm going to the Cape. It always means Cape Cod, no explanation needed. How about I'm jumping on Route 84, or I'm driving down Route 9, which by the way are major highways, but we call them routes for some reason. But we don't do that for 95 or 91, or real routes like Route 1 we call Post Road, or Route 15 we call the Merritt. And we live by exit numbers here. When giving directions, you always use exit numbers. This confuses many of my New York friends who never use exit numbers ever because they don't have them on some of their highways. The Taconic is a perfect example. I don't know how you give a direction when you don't have an exit number. And to make matters worse, we're all screwed up now because we're in the process of renumbering all of the exits. This was decided many years ago, but they just started doing it within the last couple of years. They're going to match the mile markers from the border, starting from south to north and west to east. So basically, number 1 is closest to New York border, and it goes up sequentially from there. Just to make everything super confusing here. So what does this really culminate down to? Connecticut really has a personality disorder. We are in a full-blown identity crisis. We can't decide what we are. And honestly, it's part of our charm. We are New England, but we like to act like New York's quieter cousin. We are coastal, but technically we're on Long Island Sound, which really doesn't get all the wave action that the regular ocean does. We love to play off of that hallmark feel. But we're also jam-packed with tacky strip malls and storage units galore. And we love to say we're small. We're literally the 3rd smallest state, but somehow everything takes forever to get to. So those are some of the bizarre and quietly chaotic sides of Connecticut that no one mentions when you're scrolling through Zillow. Connecticut is equal parts charming and strange, and that's exactly why people love it. Drop a comment below. What's the strangest Connecticut quirk that you know of? And make sure to subscribe because trust me, you don't want to miss any of my weekly Connecticut content. And as always, thanks for watching and have a great day.